My name is Mdlulwa, and I'm coming from, I'm a project assistant here at UCT under the project called ATEDI, which is Teacher Empowerment for Disability Inclusion. And today I'm just here to present. I'm also a master's student within the Disability Studies Division. Yes, so today I will be presenting, and my topic is around whether we're looking at inclusive MOOCs, and we're looking at whether can massive open online learning courses contribute towards the development of inclusive education practices. So just to give you a brief overview of my presentation today. So I'm going to look around the background, which is around the challenges of teacher training in South Africa. I'm going to look the need to support teacher training in South Africa. I'm going to look at what are MOOCs, the impact and the advantages of MOOCs. I'm going to look at a particular course, which is the Education for All, Disability, Diversity and Inclusion. Ethics of care and its relevance towards teacher education, as well as the 4 stages of caring, and then my conclusion. Just to give you a bit of background around teacher training in South Africa. So I want to look around the fact that, and to acknowledge the fact that there is a massive gap in teacher training in South Africa. And currently, you know, the issue of the teacher education in South Africa covers just a small segment or a few of issues relating to learning barriers experienced by children with disabilities. And therefore, there is an urgent need for teachers to learn about inclusive education, because like I said, that in my presentation, that even teachers in special schools, they do not have much knowledge or training in the particular disability that they are working with. So therefore, it is recognized that there is a specific practical need that teachers that they might need within the learning process, particularly to deal with learning barriers or to promote inclusion within their classroom-based environments. And it has been reported on literature that, you know, negative attitudes and dispositions from teachers, often with little or no training in inclusive education, can actually make it a greater or much of a greater challenge, you know, and also just particularly in promoting inclusion, because they're not well capacitated or trained to deal or to promote inclusive education practices, which is one of the shortcomings in South Africa. So therefore, with that being said, it is important for me to say that teachers do need support, you know, to like support in the sense that they need to be capacitated, they need to, you know, to have the necessary skills, knowledge and abilities to adopt inclusive education practices. And it has happened to me that I have a mother who is a teacher by profession, and when I was doing in 2016 one of my articles around creating inclusive curricula around the deaf community in higher education in South Africa, I had a chat with her, and she alluded and she confirmed some of the challenges, the fact that during her teacher's training she has never, or they have never been taught on how to promote or apply inclusion within their classroom-based environments. And that as a maths teacher and a physics teacher, it's very difficult to really, you know, apply reasonable accommodation or include or to you know, to apply inclusion or to teach inclusively our children with disabilities. So therefore, with that being said, and so it's easy for them to kind of lack at confidence, in promoting inclusion, because they are never, or they were never capacitated, or or they were never taught on how to deal with, with promoting disability inclusion within their classroom-based environments. So therefore, that is why teacher training in South Africa is very important, to boost or to build or increase their confidence in teaching inclusively. And with that being said, as well as it helps to inculcate or to, enhance positive attitudes, in order to encourage or to foster inclusivity. So I would also like to say that if teachers are well supported and if they receive the necessary training, it would contribute towards ensuring that even children with disabilities are able to obtain quality education, a good quality, as contained even within the Constitution of South Africa in Chapter 2, that it says that everyone has, a right to education. And I mean, we have a lot of even policies like the White Paper 6, where it speaks about or advocating around promoting inclusive education practices. But it is a sad reality that if teachers are not trained, therefore they will not even be able to ensure that children with disabilities do not encounter learning barriers within their classroom-based environments. And to move just right along, I want us to examine and in terms of to see whether we could use MOOCs as a possible solution in filling in or to dealing with this gap, or to alleviate some of these challenges that are existing within around teacher training in South Africa. So I would like to first say that MOOCs are basically massive open online courses, and which obviously are hosted on international MOOC platforms such as Coursera, and we even have FutureLearn. So these are the MOOC providers basically online, and MOOCs are known as a flexible open online, and it's a self-directed space, a learning space for, that I think that even teachers, if they engage within their online space, they find that they learn within their own space, and that it covers a large number of people across maybe geographical places. So so I want us now to see the impact of MOOCs on teacher education. So just to add on what I'm saying is that, teachers or anyone who actually learns within the online space, or all participants are able to learn from one another. Even educators are able to learn from other educators who are coming from different geographical environments, and they're able to learn and to acquire different perspectives and conceptual insights. And also just the use of online resources by teachers. I think it's also the idea of promoting digital literacies, and also the fact that teachers would be able to learn, not only to learn from other teachers across the world, but also the fact that they are able to develop these competencies, learning from a different perhaps cultural group or different context altogether. And I think the whole idea of the impact of MOOCs on teacher education is the fact that it contributes towards ensuring that there is inclusive curriculum development and curriculum adaptation as well. So, so I've already mentioned just a bit of the advantages of the MOOCs, the fact that they are flexible. In fact, they are also free. And the fact that they cover a large scale of participants worldwide, and also the fact that it's about knowledge sharing, and it's about curriculum sharing, and the fact that people are able to learn at their own time, and and which sometimes is not the way the benefits or the advantages of MOOCs are in a sense that some of them, some of the things that MOOCs or online learning offers is actually things that you find that perhaps they're not even offered within the traditional face-to-face classroom environment, so to speak. So moving right along, I want us to look at, this particular a MOOC course which runs within the Division of Disability Studies, and obviously it's developed by University of Cape Town through SILT, and I think SILT today has been, wow, I've learned a lot that they're doing quite a lot and there's a lot of influence, but I mean, yes, so it's developed by the University of Cape Town, which runs within the Disability Studies Division. And basically, I think the main objective or aims of this education for all, which is disability, diversity, and inclusion, is the fact that it's about promoting inclusive education practices in low to middle income countries. And obviously, it's targeting around, parents, people with disabilities, as well as teachers or educators. But I mean, any other person who is interested to enroll, or anyone who is under the sphere of education, I've seen that a lot of people are enrolling for our MOOC, as you will see as we go on with my slide. Yes, so basically, this is how on Future Learn how our courses look like, which is the education for all. And then I also want to look at the fact that South Africa is one of I checked on the enrollments by country, so I could see that South Africa has 11%, and that it's the second. So in terms of enrollment, they're one of the second highest. For I think it was the previous run that I went to check the stats, and then also the UK obviously has a greater percentage in terms of enrollment, and also I also looked around just this year, the previous run, in terms of joiners, there are about 2,335, and then you can see that I want us to just look at the active learners. It's about what? It's about 54.4%, which shows that people are really, hungry to learn about this MOOC and what it offers for us, and even just. So I looked at the number of joiners as well as the active learners, so which is quite a great number, which is good for us. And so also just moving right along, I want to say that the education for all is around addressing, it's around looking at the increased, desire for training, particularly for teachers or other professionals, particularly in the sphere of education as well as parents. And obviously it's all about developing inclusive education practices and obviously promoting disability inclusion, especially that disability inclusion is such a small segment that out there, even on the media, or it's something that's not really much communicated. And I feel like for us as disability activists, it's very important to educate our society and the world at large. So, and also now I want us to look around, the ethics of care and how they are relevant towards teacher education. So, so for me, as I was just preparing my presentation, I felt that, if teachers or if educators, particularly in the sphere of or in the field of disability, if they are well supported and they are given the necessary training and the skills and to enhance their skills and knowledge, I felt that would be an example of ethics of care. So ethics of care is based on the reality that human beings generally they need to receive care, and the fact that we also as people give care to others, so it's about reciprocal relationships basically, because it's like the idea on teacher education, the fact that just before I get to the 4 stages, the fact that there are policy developers, and also there are teachers. So if when we speak about the reciprocal relationships, it's in the sense that teachers, if they are able to, for the society or the world we live in, if they are able to train them and to hear what their needs, or particularly when they teach in their environments, if they're able to hear, because these policies that are developed, they need to speak to teachers' needs as well. So teachers can help policy developers, as well as much as the policy developers as well, we have these policies, but also teachers needs to give feedback in terms of ensuring that all these needs, whatever that's articulated or outlined in the policies speaks to teachers' needs and the gap that exists in South Africa in as far as teacher training is concerned. So that is why it is also about interdependency. Ethics of care, it's also about reciprocal relationships as well as interdependency. So I want us to look at the 4 stages of caring. Stage 1. So basically stage 1 is about listening very carefully to teachers' needs, as I just mentioned now. And obviously it involves attentiveness, which means that we need to know and understand teachers' perspectives, and in that sense, we would be able to know that the training that they need speaks to their needs. So that is why that teachers, we need to hear teachers' perspective, or when it comes to stage 1 of caring. And then stage 2, it's about identifying responsible groups. So in this case, I felt like it could be school-based teams and district officials. So it's about, because they are responsible in ensuring that they look at what the school needs, and obviously to look at what are the needs, or in order to ensure that we're developing schools and to ensure that teachers are well capacitated as well. So that is why that it is about taking responsibility. It is about knowing who does what, whose responsibility is it to ensure that teachers' needs are well fulfilled, so to speak. So that's stage 2, and then stage 3, we're looking at building competencies or skills and knowledge and abilities of teachers. So it is about ensuring that we support. District officials and school-based have the necessary competencies to address these needs. So that's what stage 3 of caring is all about. And then stage 4, it's about finally, having to have teachers responding to the support offered and being able to adapt accordingly. So also this is about teachers being able to give feedback, to say what is working for them and what is perhaps not working for them, and so what is the desired change as well. So that is also very important. So in terms of my conclusion, I created this picture because the idea is around caring. If we're able to instill, to instill caring in whatever that we do, then we will be able to see the desired transformation that we need, especially to deal with the challenges that teachers encounter within their classroom-based environments, and especially which escalates, of course, to dealing with the learning barriers that children with disabilities face. So if we have, and I think this idea of caring also of care. It's how it's relevant to our conference today, which is about caring, creating, making connections and all. So if we have that mindset, I believe that in life there is no transformation. There can never be transformation without considering the needs of teachers, especially in as far as them being able to teach inclusively and being able to provide or apply inclusive education practices or to apply inclusion within their classroom-based environments. So this is where I leave it to. So yeah, this is where it ends for me. So I don't know if anyone perhaps have some questions for me. Yes. Okay, I don't know if, let me just start with that. So disability, can I just say this? When it comes to disability, I would like to say that in my experiences of having done the postgraduate diploma in disability studies and now being a master's student, I would like to say that disability is socially constructed. That's number one, in the sense that if we do not change the environment in which we live in, for instance, if we do not cater for the needs of teachers in order to apply inclusion within their classroom-based environments, therefore, that is called a disabling environment, if I'm answering you correctly. So it's a disabled environment. It's a disabling environment in the sense that children will continue to experience these persistent, inequalities as well as barriers to learning. So that is in a sense. But then, if we apply reasonable accommodation and we are able to make sure that teachers, as role players to these children, are well capacitated, therefore there is nothing like a disability within their classroom-based environment. I hope that that makes sense to you. So your second question was based on technologies. So basically, let me just make something clear. Maybe I didn't clarify this part. So when we look at MOOCs, basically, we see it perhaps, as a more of a supplement to what is happening within the face-to-face or traditional way of learning, like being in a class. So it could be perhaps one more of an additional way of looking at how to deal with learning barriers that children with disabilities face. But it's not necessarily to say that now we'll move away from the traditional face-to-face environment and just do the online route. No. We are saying that it could be one possible or perhaps an additional form of dealing with some of these, of the challenge of teacher training in South Africa. So I hope that I'm making sense there. Yes. So I don't know if there's any other questions for me.